The Willoughby Leisure Centre is a council-owned and operated facility located in Bicentennial Reserve in Willoughby. The centre incorporates swimming pools, 2 indoor sports courts and a gymnasium. In December 2022, Council commenced work on upgrading the centre. As the pool and building were showing significant signs of ageing, the mechanical plant was at the end of its life and a newer, larger facility was required to meet the needs of a growing population. The project initially commenced as an upgrade to the existing facility, utilising and enhancing much of the existing building structure, and importantly relying on the in-ground structural piers that support the building. Prior to construction, significant in-ground testing was undertaken on the site, along with tests to determine the structural adequacy of the building's substructure. However, this testing was limited in scope, as many of the structural piers were underneath the existing pools and not accessible. Following demolition of the pools, it was then possible to test the structural adequacy of the building's substructure, which was previously hidden below the building. Once the existing piers could be tested, it became evident the entire underlying structure would need to be replaced, as the engineers were not satisfied with the bearing capacity of the existing piers, as they did not extend sufficiently into the bedrock below, or meet seismic standards in the event of an earthquake, given that it's located on a former rubbish tip. At this point, the project changed from a refurbishment project to the construction of an entirely new building. This significant change has resulted in delays of 20 months and an increase from the original revised budget to forecast cost to completion of $65 million. Whilst the cost increase is significant, it's unavoidable given the level of structural work required. The increased cost will be funded from developer contributions and council reserves, which have been set aside to maintain and build assets. Council is not considering any changes to business or residential rates as a result of this project, nor was this a factor in the consideration of last year's special rate variation. The project would see the existing 2 pools replaced with 5 new water bodies: a 25-metre lap pool, a new 20-metre learn-to-swim pool, a 20-metre program pool, and a children's play pool area with water features and a large spa. The project represented a significant enhancement of the existing facility, but importantly was designed as an upgrade to adjoin the existing leisure centre building. This entirely new facility represents an opportunity to extend the lifetime of the Willoughby Leisure Centre, ensuring that this treasured local amenity can be enjoyed for generations. Bicentennial Reserve opened in 1988 and is located on top of a former rubbish tip which operated from the 1930s through to 1985. Prior to its use as a rubbish tip, the topography of the land was characterised by a deep gully that was home to Flat Rock Creek, which originates in Artarmon and feeds into Tunks Park and Sydney Harbour. Whilst the leisure centre looks like it's sitting at ground level, in practice it's floating on the piers above the gully below. When the rubbish tip was proposed in the 1920s, a large concrete culvert was built to divert Flat Rock Creek through the gully and at the same time protect the water quality from the rubbish that was to be filled above. Over the coming decades, Flat Rock Gully was filled with waste, and in many parts of the reserve, the new ground level is up to 40 metres above its natural height. When the Gore Hill Freeway was extended, the excavated sandstone was used as a capping layer of the former garbage tip site to create Bicentennial Reserve. Given the shape of the gully and the rubbish and sandstone capping layer, the original leisure centre was constructed upon piers to support the building. At some points, the building is elevated up to 15 metres above the existing ground level, with these piers providing vital support to the structure. The project's original scope included removal of the primary swimming pool, removal of the existing program and children's pool, along with the removal of the concourse deck area. The light green colour shows the new pools that were then going to be built within and on top of the existing structure. The building elements in red show the beams and columns that were going to be reused. The structural piers below the building, marked in red, were going to be reused to support the new structure. However, when they were inspected by engineers who were able to take core samples, it was determined that they were not adequate to support the building and would need to be replaced and supplemented with new piers in blue. Problems were discovered around the quality of construction of the original substructure back in the 1980s, and the engineers re-rated the ground quality for seismic activity risk, which required a new modern substructure. The new piers in blue show the extent of work that was required to provide the necessary support to the structure and manage earthquake risk. The piers marked in orange show the extent of underpinning required to support Flat Rock Drive, which is to the east of the new facility and sits upon an existing embankment. This work required an extensive excavation, at which point work was slowed down by the discovery of asbestos within the site's soil. Whilst the asbestos was not significant in quantity, it was widespread, dramatically slowing progress as the site required strict management in accordance with EPA guidelines. Whilst Council was aware of the risk of asbestos in the former landfill site, the volume of unplanned excavation required removal of soil in quantities not expected. With the new substructure in place, the new pool decks could be formed, the new structure erected, and the new roof installed. The project also extends beyond just the aquatic facility, with the roof being replaced on the main spine of the building, over the gymnasium, as well as the sports hall. The indoor courts will also be resurfaced, and the cladding of these two buildings will also be replaced. Throughout the design and construction of the new leisure centre, environmentally sustainable features have been incorporated, which will reduce future running costs and the building's carbon footprint. The new pool has been designed to be environmentally sustainable, including extensive efficiency improvements, electric vehicle charging facilities, and the installation of 2 rooftop solar photovoltaic systems totaling 500 kilowatts, which is enough to power over 400 houses. The new pools will be heated with renewable electricity, and the previous gas-fired heating system has been decommissioned. This will reduce gas used by Council by 90% and save around 800 tonnes of greenhouse gases and save $100,000 annually. While these challenging in-ground conditions have been unanticipated, we've been well prepared for such eventualities, with funding capacity made available in Council's long-term financial plan to ensure that there's no compromise on the quality of the new Willoughby Leisure Centre. In addition to the funds received by Council under a New South Wales Office of Sport Multi-Sport Community Facility Fund, the incremental project cost is funded using a combination of developer contributions and existing internal reserves, meaning there's no need for us to source additional funding from rates revenue, nor does Council have any need for a change to residential or business rates as a result. Council is currently planning to open the new facility in February 2026, in time for the first term of swimming lessons. This date is still subject to the normal construction risks, and Council will keep the community informed on project progress, with monthly updates posted to our website, social media, and other channels. We'd like to thank our community for your patience as we continue to work hard to deliver for you the revitalised state-of-the-art Willoughby Leisure Centre, a game changer for local fitness and recreation.